Welcome, everyone, to another episode of INN's flagship video interview kerfluffle INNside CIG. I'm your host, Jared Disco Lando Huckaby, and our special guest today is Star Citizen CCT, otherwise known as closed caption television. How you doing, CCT?
I'm doing well. How are you, Jared?
Fine. This is a much smoother intro than the last one we recorded that had no audio, isn't it?
It's so much better.
Oh, it's so much 100%. Better now that we can hear each other. I'm working with professionals here.
Completely professional. So
I like having my mic this close so I can do this. Yes. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hello. Join me.
Join me.
Together.
It's off the rails already.
We will survive this interview and rule the galaxies. We're not father and son, though.
Nope.
Oh,
okay. Take it away, man.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So if you guys didn't know, I'm CCT. Today with us, we have Mr. Jared Huckaby, community manager at CIG. INNside CIG is a series of interviews looking at the people behind Star Citizen and what they do and how wonderful or not wonderful they are.
And so forcing them to wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. You do that too, right?
I might.
Yeah.
Okay. So far, all of our guests have been wonderful, but
that changes now.
Oh, I ruined everything. There it is. Okay. So, Mr. Disco Lando, how did you first get into this video game industry?
My first foray into video game industries, working in the video game industry, I guess, was in 2004 when I joined the GM team for WoW at the launch of that game. That was a beautiful experience, surrounded by lovely people who absolutely understood the intricacies of MMO games at the time and certainly did not submit tickets asking me to go to Radio Shack and buy new servers. It was a delightful, delightful experience full of flowery tickets, but people certainly didn't accuse me of inappropriate acts with family members and all the things that the lovely MMO community at that time loved to do. And of course, it's all changed now. But I did Blizzard till about Burning Crusade, and then went off to do some other things. I taught high school for a while and worked at Disneyland for a while. It all blurs together. But then I came back to the industry this year by joining CIG as your community manager.
Yay. And we're all better for it, right?
Well, that remains to be seen.
How did you end up working for CIG?
Well, I started off as a fan, just a citizen like most other people. I think I wasn't even there at the beginning. I was pretty skeptical of the project at first.
Me too.
My citizen number is in the 30,000s, I think. I don't remember, actually. I don't carry my citizen card around with me because I don't want to lose it. Eris. And so I don't know what my number is off the top of my head. I'm sure somebody can look it up if they're totally curious. But I started off watching Wingman's Hangar, and if everybody's being honest with each other, not all the video submissions were, to pick a word, good. So I saw Wingman kind of suffering through some of these, so I decided I could help out as a way to contribute. So I started doing my terrible videos that were never meant to be seen by anybody. If you go to the Disco Lando YouTube channel, which I think is still up, it's been dormant for a while now, you can see a lot of those early Wingman's Hangar videos, and they are not meant for public consumption. They're pretty blue. They're pretty raunchy at times and inappropriate. And it was just meant to make the guys there laugh. And then he started putting them on the air, and that embarrassed me, and my tack changed, and the videos changed quite a bit. And then it just became about supporting wherever I could, trying to be the voice of reason when I could with videos like Why I Pledged or the Star Citizen informational series or educational series about arguing on the internet and whatnot. And eventually, I came to know Ben and the team here, and they had me over as Santa Claus for the holiday live stream last year, and just started hanging out and just talking about the things that I could offer, and they'd ask me, "Hey, can you do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can do that." And what can you do this? And yeah, I can do that. And eventually, when the timing was right and the stars aligned, I came on board in about February as a contract employee, and then became the full-time community manager in April. And now here I am. I'm what you're all stuck with. So sorry.
For better or worse. So, what's it like working at CIG? Since you've had so many jobs beforehand, and you probably know like more about employment than most people do.
Yeah.
How is it different? How is it better or worse?
I don't claim to be a master at many things in the world. I'm the that people use the term jack of all trades, master of none. I'll go out and say I'm a master of employment. I know how jobs are supposed to work. I've seen just about every single way you can run a business, from Major League Baseball stadiums down to I did telephone support for prosthetic legs for a while, and yelling at doctors who couldn't measure legs right. The person's second leg is
Wow.
longer than the other leg. Well, you guys screwed up. I'm like, no, here's your notes. Here's your signature. These are your numbers right here. You're the one who can't use a tape measure, doctor. But yeah, so this is a new business. This is an indie business. This is it's not your Activision. It's not your EA. It's not Google. This is a place run by creatives, run by the artists, run by the designers, run by the people who make things, as opposed to the people who facilitate things. And we've got some of those people too. Those people are usually called producers. So it is.
It's a creative word for manager.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit like the Wild West. There's a lot of flying by the seat of your pants, which can be construed as a bad thing, and in some cases it certainly could be. But these are all very passionate, very driven people who work however long it takes to get the job done, however hard it takes to get the job done, and it's an amazing environment. It is not for everyone. I think everybody starts to have their idea about what CIG must be like to work at. You start building up this fantasy, world about how it is, and it's dangerous if you ever decide to try to come work here. To be certain, it is the best job I've ever had. I can say that without any kind of qualification. I've never had this much fun at a job. I've also never worked anywhere near this hard at a job. So it's for people who come to play. And I said that in a post a couple weeks ago, I think. And when I say come to play, I mean come to work, because it's hard work. It's driving. There's nobody here says that's not my job. That's my second favorite thing about this place.
I also
nobody here
love
says
that.
It's not my job. If there's a thing you can do, and you can do it well, and you're the best person who can do it, doesn't matter, oh, that wasn't what I was hired to do. It's all hands on deck here. It's you do it. We're trying to build the impossible.
Yeah.
We're trying to build a game that's never been done before, and in a new way that's never been done before. So there's a lot of things to figure out. There's a lot of I'm sorry, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. No, actually, it's 10 o'clock in the morning now. We just did that podcast before. But it's a lot of unexpectedness. It's a lot of the best laid plans, surviving until you meet the enemy, and the enemy is production. The enemy is the engine. The engine, it's what's technically capable and what's been done before. And it's exciting. But like I said, it's not for everybody. It's when folks talk about why some folks might leave or why some folks might not come here, or why some folks out there might be scared of what we're doing or whatnot. It's because change is frightening, you know, and it's different and it's not for everybody. And some folks are at the end of their careers and only want to, you know, kick back and hang out with all the protocols and procedures all figured out and all that stuff. And some folks are young and they're hungry and they want to blaze new trails. And I'm rambling because a lot of it is rambling. It's just crazy. It's awesome and I adore it. Yeah,
and like I kind of we tell a lot of the new people who want to do stuff for us at INN kind of the same thing. Like it's talking about video games sounds easy, and but the amount of production that we put into a lot of things, like our videos, our podcasts, all that stuff, like there's a lot of work that goes into it and people don't realize that, and then they want to come on board and just talk about Star Citizen, and we're like, it's a lot of other stuff that you have to do. And
it's if you're doing it right and you're putting in the amount of time and effort that's necessary to make these things go off and look easy, you know, it's the double-edged sword here.
Right.
It's you put all that time, you put all that effort, and then it looks like it's easy.
Exactly.
And effortless. And it's like, well, that's what we were going for, but don't take that at face value. This is a lot of work.
We have this tiny little web show and some videos that we do every week, and you guys do something that has way more production and way more like everything. I can only imagine like the amount of work that you guys do on a weekly basis just to get your shows up.
It's a bit. We have you can't really see it here, but we have the big board, and it's we've got segments. Like for now, we've got segments produced for the next 3 episodes of ATV. They're still being cut together, but they're filmed from when Hennessy went to the UK for a week. Excuse me. But yeah, no, it's a Monday through Wednesday is almost entirely dominated by Around the Verse. We do 10-4, whatever that the 10-4 is, usually on Friday. And then Bug Smashers, Mark and Hennessy will come in at 7 o'clock in the morning before everybody else gets in here, so that they can film at his desk when it's quiet, because he works in the center of a giant pit full of people. No, it's a lot of work, and then there's all the pre-playing, there's all the running around and figuring out what's ready to be shown. You know, what's at a point? What are you working? It's a lot of my job is going around to everybody. Hey, what are you working on right now?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, is there a visual component to that? Is there something we can show with that? If there isn't, you know, we try to put that on a back burner until there is. There is something to show. Is that approved yet? Oh, it's not approved. All right. Well, when it's approved, you know, hey, remember that I'm asking, kind of thing. Okay. Then it's like, oh, that is approved. Okay, let's actually see it. And it's like, oh, you're just doing a bunch of math. That's all you're doing right now. It's just a bunch of math. Oh, that's not very interesting.
There might be some people who would find that interesting.
Nerds. But but yeah, no, it's a process, and then it gets one of the more, I don't know if we're off the rails here or not, but one of the more common
no rails
comments that we get on all of our video stuff is show not tell, as if we're simple folks who never thought of that before, you know. And we appreciate the feedback. Yes, we understand. We're the ones who are doing video instead of just writing up a comm link. Yeah. We understand show not tell. The problem is that there's not always something that you can show yet. It's when you're doing a thing every single week, development doesn't move that fast. You know, it's a lot of iterative. It's a lot of trying one thing, then trying another thing, then trying another thing, then trying another thing. And it's not until your 8th or 9th version of something that you're like, okay, this is how we want to do it, kind of thing.
Right.
So, and if we showed all 9 iterations of that thing, that would get pretty boring pretty fast. You know, we showed 3 different versions of the new hangar lighting, and people are like, why are you showing the same thing 3 weeks in a row? It's like, it's not the same thing. It's 3 different angles. But that's my point. People say we want to see everything, but they don't want to see iterative versions. We try that, and people say that we're showing the same thing. So something has to be in a place where it's like, all right, that's not going to continue to iterate. Everything's going to continue to iterate, but we have enough of that locked down that it's okay to show somebody and not risk dividing the audience. Right. It's one of the things, like with the Endeavor. We went to Dragon Con, we showed all the different iterations of the Endeavor, which is not something that we normally do. And the reason we don't normally do that is because people picked the third one as their favorite. Some people picked the fourth one as their favorite. Some people picked the eighth one as their favorite. And it's like, none of those are going to be the ship.
Yeah.
Those are all the old versions.
It's why like typically before, if you would ever do that, it would be in a jump point way after the fact.
After the fact, yeah. It's you only get one chance to make a first impression kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And if people we keep showing people the iterative development, they fall in love with different iterations.
Right.
Then it becomes this may come as a surprise to some folks, but people care about Star Citizen quite a bit. And like all things, it's there's good and bad that comes with that. And one of the unfortunate, I won't even say bad, one of the unfortunate side effects of caring that much is that you attach to something, and when you attach to the third version of it, and then it just continues to iterate away from that. It's like, well, why? That's the one that I liked. It's like, why are you? It's like it's hard not to feel moved, like they're going against what you liked and whatnot.
That poor Harold.
The asymmetrical Harold.
Yeah.
So
I will make it asymmetrical. I'll put something weird on one of those hard points, and it will be asymmetrical.
There's danger in it, and there are many considerations that go into what we show and what we don't show at any time, and that's one of them. Is it far enough along that we're not just going to risk breaking a bunch of people's hearts and because we know we're going in a different direction? Is it approved? For artists, and this is something that maybe not everybody will understand. I mean, I honestly don't know. If you're a creator, if you've ever created something in your life, you'll probably understand this, and you probably can if you have empathy. If you don't have empathy, I can't do anything for you guys. Sorry, but when you create something, you're fiercely protective of it, and you don't want anybody to see it until it's done. Right. It's like, no, I'm still creating it. I want people to see it when it's done. So it's sometimes it's hard to get things out of artists' hands. It's like, show it to me. No, I can't see it. So it's, and again, then the consideration that some people will like the iterative version. It's not. So there's many considerations that go into what we can show and what we can't show, and including the fact that you just can't eat steak for every meal of every day. Yeah. If we could show you every cool thing that we're doing, bam, 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 and then after 5 weeks, 10 weeks, whatnot, you're like, it'd be desensitizing. Suddenly nothing would be impressive about Star Citizen. Yeah, exactly. There's no punch. We can't do a CitizenCon every single week.
Yeah.
It's we have to have those moments. There's calculation. There's reason behind our actions most times. I won't dare claim all the time, but it's and then sometimes it's just that this was a slow week. This was a week full of blockers. We didn't make the progress we wanted to make this week, and there's just nothing for us to show you this week.
What a lot of people don't realize is, while you guys don't spend a ton of money or time on marketing, there's still marketing.
Oh yeah,
that still exists. Like, you don't have like banner ads or TV commercials or anything ridiculous like that, but like there's still like a science and a philosophy to it that it's why you guys made like $2 million in the last week just from the impact of CitizenCon.
Yeah. If for anyone who has kids, this will be easy to understand. It's why you don't let your kids peek at all the presents on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
You can open the flap of every single present on Christmas Eve, because then Christmas Day is just, Yeah. So it's, and then there's the other thing. It's just, there's only so much to show at any given time. Right. And we have done such tremendous work improving what we show across the board throughout the entire episode of ATV.
Yeah.
Last week's episode was probably as good as we're ever going to get, with the explosions and then with the 20-minute look at the Caterpillar.
Yeah. Holy crap.
But then, and then look at the FPS post that went up yesterday with two different videos, a behind the scenes look at the QA testing of the ambush segment in CitizenCon, and then a look at Charlie Station.
Yeah. That
Charlie Station would have been an amazing sneak peek on ATV, but we put it in this post. It used to be back in the day that sneak peek was the only time you ever saw anything in Around the Verse, and we have made a concentrated effort to stop that.
Yeah.
To put things throughout Around the Verse, put things throughout our Friday posts, to put things embedded wherever we can.
People definitely
And so,
appreciate that too.
but that has the side effect of de-emphasizing
Right.
the sneak peek. And there's always, every single week, there's something that's like, sneak peek sucked this week. And it's like, well, it's because everything else was awesome, guys. It's like stat rolling your character. We improved the strength, and the agility and the stamina, and it was all at the expense of intelligence or whatnot. Yeah, I don't know how stat characters work, but it's you reallocate where things go, and yeah, the sneak peek is going to be de-emphasized a bit because of it. We're keeping it in there because people want it, but ultimately, I don't even think it's necessary anymore. We put enough throughout everything else we do. It's more than the sneak peek ever showed.
Yeah,
So.
It's honestly like the show has evolved and improved over the last 6-8 months, and it's. Honestly, overall, like, there's people out there who talk about it and are like, oh, like this episode sucked this week or whatever. But like, especially as someone on the other side who's in it, everyone has definitely noticed like the great improvement, especially over the last 3 weeks. Like the production's gone way up, and it's awesome.
We're filming every episode here in my bedroom.
That's
the posters on my wall.
If people didn't know, he's in his bedroom. That he lives when no one's in the office. This is where Lando sleeps.
It's like that sometimes. The entire week before CitizenCon, I was in here. I was coming into work at midnight, so I was sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night every night. Going to sleep at 9, waking up at midnight, and coming into the office. So
yeah, game development's real easy, guys. Real easy.
And I'm just a community manager.
Yeah. So, speaking of which, oh, what a segue. As community manager, although your job title again is very not indicative of all of the things that you do, what are your responsibilities at CIG? Yeah, I know. Besides, like, some of the stuff that we've talked about already.
Yeah, one of the other, I said the second favorite thing about working here is that nobody says this is not my job. It's your job title is where you start.
Yeah,
it's the thing that got you in the building, but this. Let's see. I'm trying to think. There is no typical day, and that's one of the more exciting things about this.
That's awesome.
It's as a community, it's just. Let me think of some of the things I've done here in the last couple weeks. We had a thing a while back where we were exploring the possibility of adding new variants to existing ships, like new versions of the 300, new versions of the Hornet, new versions of the thing. We're not pursuing that right now. It's backburnered, but it was one of those things that we were exploring at the time, because that's part of what game development is you explore a bunch of avenues, and most of them you don't take. But we were exploring, the idea of adding more variants, and they sent out email far and wide. Ben is our ship director, and Ben's like, I don't care where a good idea comes from, as long as it's a good idea. So he was emailed everyone on the team and said, hey, if you've got ideas for new variants and whatnot, let me hear them. And most people came up with 1 or 2 ship variants, and because I'm an asshole, I sent them a list of 34 with summaries and everything about how they would work and whatnot. And then they took everybody's submissions and took them to the ship team, which is all the designers and everybody here upstairs, and they whittled it down to a list of 20 that they thought would actually make contributions to the game, significant contributions to the game. And out of the 20, 8 of them were mine. And I did a happy dance that could have been seen from space that day. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a bad man. But
since you're not pursuing it, what did you come up with? What are some fun things that you came up with?
I don't want to.
Just
I don't want to
one.
share them right now because that might be. I worked for many years in baseball, professional baseball,
Yeah.
and professional baseball is an incredibly superstitious thing.
If
so
you
it's
say it, it won't happen.
exactly
Okay.
if you say it, Joe Boo will smash it down and make sure it never happens.
Okay.
So I'm still hoping someday we can pull that list out of the fire and maybe pursue those.
Okay.
I will say that on there, there was a converted Hornet demolition derby racer
Oh.
because of its bigger, badder armor.
Yeah.
You strip all the weapons from it, and there was a Hornet demolition derby racer.
We need demolition derby in Star Citizen.
Yeah, that's the
need
the
this.
only one I want to
Okay.
share right now because I'm still hoping I can convince somebody to do some of them at some point. But
Those are only variants.
no, they
Two
would just be
existing
variant.
ships?
They would be things that you could make
Like a
out of your
loadout.
existing
Yeah.
ships with the modular system, basically.
Okay.
So it would basically be like the Hornet one. It would basically be stripped, no weapons of any kind, doubling up the armor and basically
Put like Vandal blades on the hard points.
yeah, it would basically be like a Mad Max version of a Hornet
Yeah.
that you would use in demolition derby racing for somebody who wanted to enter the Murray Cup and just slaughter everybody else kind of thing. Yeah, that's the only one I want to talk about right now. But
Okay.
there was one I was so happy with that everybody was so happy with. It was like the only unanimous choice, and it has the best name ever, and I'm really happy with it. And I want to share it right now. But no, I'm still hoping it'll happen. So we're not going to do that.
Okay.
But yeah, from that to getting to coordinate, things like the Genesis Starliner sale, getting to record all the the flight messages, now boarding to, Terra from Saul, whatever. I can't even remember what they were now. It's on the website. But getting to record all that dialogue and stuff like that, and that was cool. And getting to produce, all our shows and doing crazy things like the Hitchhiker's Guide opening to Around the Verse 42.
That's got to be one of my favorite episodes. That was so good.
And nobody asked me to do that. I just kind of did it and brought it in. And Ben just kind of looked at me like, I couldn't tell if he wanted to hug me or kiss me or fire me. It was probably some weird mixture of all three. But
Did you make the video part as well, or just the voiceover?
Oh no, I did the whole thing. The whole segment was
That's
done
awesome.
by me. A lot of the art assets were done by me, Ryan Archer, who was an artist that worked for us for a while, and Star Citizen Angry Peas helped out with some. Oh yeah,
Angry Peas.
He helped out with the. I can't remember. I think he drew the version of. I think he drew the cartoon version of Ben. And James at the time. But and then Ryan Archer did the Vandal and the fancy Xi'an gentleman.
Oh yeah,
stuff like that. Yeah. So and then I did the whole animation and all that stuff. And
that's awesome.
And Ben wrote the dialogue and I recorded it. So I mean it's a team effort.
Were those just keyframes in Premiere?
Yeah, all done in Premiere. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. No, I didn't use After Effects at all in that one actually. So that was all done. I was all done with crappy,
keyframes.
Keyframes in Premiere.
Just the motion effects.
Yeah, I have like no formal training in everything, so I pretty much asshole my way through everything I do.
You and me both,
including community management. We do a lot of things. Is basically what it comes down to. Yeah. And Ben is the director of online engagement, community strategy, online engagement, and spaceships right now. I mean, it's all the spaceship stuff goes through him. All the community stuff goes through him. The marketing stuff goes through him. I mean, he is in so many aspects of Star Citizen, and he's been here since day zero. So it's because if you can do a thing, you do a thing. You don't say that's not my job.
Yeah, I mean, we even saw that with Chris in Game Commander.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not just the director; he's sitting there coding and getting the demo ready. Like everybody does that. That's awesome.
It's because the problem was in a system that he created back in the day.
Yeah.
So like he did the first version of the Zone system. So up to event planning, It's like that, all the work with Gamescom, up in the, it was hanging banners up in the stupid, I can't remember what it's called, the hydraulic lifts. I'm up there hanging banners and stuff. And it's because we're realizing that, none of the volunteers are on, safety waivers. We can't send them up in the thing. All the other employees are done. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it. You can do a thing, you do a thing. So
Yeah, that's awesome. What is one of the most... I love this question because Ben's answer was wonderful. I'm just not going to ask it now.
Awesome.
You can't have it.
Well, if you said it's one of Ben's favorites.
You love it, but I won't ask it for you.
What are we talking about?
What is one of the most rewarding things that you've done in the last year at CIG? Or experiences or anything like that?
You sent me that question ahead of time. I should have come up with an answer before that. This is going to sound like a cop-out answer, but honestly, it's the only one that's coming to my head right now, and it feels like the truth right now. And it is, there isn't just one moment. It's a series of strung together moments that when I'm waking up at midnight to come into the office and I'm not unhappy about it, when I'm, jumping into chat at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning so that I can talk to Aussies, who I never see any other time. And it doesn't feel like it's something that I have to do. It's something that I just should do. It's not different. Something that I want to do. It's the way that this is simultaneously the hardest job I've ever had, with the most work I've ever had, and it's the most fun at the same time. That's probably what's most. There isn't a moment. I'm being flooded by moments. Having the Genesis Starliner sale vastly exceed our expectations.
Yeah,
that was great. Having that intro to Around the Verse 42 come off as well as it did, that was great. Being able to bring a sense of genuineness to Around the Verse by leaving in the outtakes and not cutting out all the imperfections, and coming up with a much more genuine production for Around the Verse is something I'm very proud of. It's having Ben, listening to Ben's puns and not killing myself every single day is tremendous. It all just rolls in there. Watching somebody like Sandy, who is as devoted to Star Citizen as any human being I've ever seen, who daily, whenever Ben comes up with an idea for something to do, or I come up with an idea for something to do, or Alexis or anybody else, and Sandy's first words are, how does that relate to the fans? How can we involve the fans in that? And realizing that there's nobody here that cares about the fans more than Sandy. I mean, I'm ambivalent towards most of you, but she genuinely loves all of you. It's and having her look at you and say good job, after something, and you're like it's a hard litmus test to pass, and to having Chris, to coming down after Gamescom, after Red One, and having Chris give you a hug, afterwards, because he realizes that the good job that you did up there, and because you were the only person whose name he knew of everybody up there, so he was telling you to fix it, even though you're not the one on the board. You're trying to tell the German, no, push this one.
For the full story, go listen to our podcast. It's really good.
Did I do that on the podcast?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. So no, it all just blurs together. It's one long, happy memory of what's now February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 8 months. Yes, I count on my fingers. I'm not math. Nobody's ever looked at Jared Huckaby and said, that guy's math. So no, it's fantastic. There isn't one thing that I can think of right now.
Yeah. All right. Since you gave me permission to ask you hard questions,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna.
Sure.
Let me see here. I'm gonna ask you the ones that you gave me to ask you first.
Did I give you a question?
What? Well, here I'll lead into it since I talked to Ben about this a little bit when I talked to him a couple weeks ago. With all of the absolutely fantastic press that's going on around Star Citizen, from what you can talk about, how my question to Ben was, how do you feel about how the press is covering Star Citizen in general? Not necessarily a specific portion of journalism with quotes.
Just to be clear, that
quotes.
wasn't one of the questions I gave you, right?
No,
That didn't sound
no,
like
I'm
something
going to
else.
lead into one of the ones.
You mentioned that before. I just want
Yeah.
to make sure this isn't some setup or anything.
I'm setting up your question.
There's not. We don't have a mandate about don't talk about this, don't talk about that. It comes from when we don't talk about something. It comes from a desire to, at least in my case, and I'm only going to speak for me here on this. It comes from a desire to be the better person, to be the better half of this. It's when you're doing something different, and Star Citizen is certainly doing something different.
Very much so.
When you're doing something that's never been done before, and Star Citizen is certainly doing something that's never been done before, and you're doing it in a way that's never been done before, which we're certainly doing as far as crowdfunding and whatnot.
Yep.
It's going to frighten people. It's going to frighten a lot of people. It's going to frighten the people who have to report on it. It's going to frighten the people who have to exist in that industry, who are afraid how their job or their model might change because of it. It's going to frighten the people who get really excited and they pledge for it, and then they start thinking about it afterwards, and they're like, "Oh, this is really different. This is more different than even I thought it was going to be."
Yeah.
It's gonna frighten a lot of people, and as I'm fond of saying, and it's a famous phrase from somebody who I'm ashamed to admit I don't remember where it came from. I don't remember where it's from, but courage isn't the absence of fear. Stupidity is the absence of fear. It's courage is taking that fear, recognize it and finding a way to rise above. It's not Batman.
I thought it was Batman.
It might be like Adam West.
Might have
Batman.
been in Batman.
Might have been in Batman. It's going to freak a lot of people out.
Yeah.
It's going to freak a lot of people out. We knew that going into it. That was way before I was a part of the project. But we see that every day. It's fine to be freaked out. It really is. It's fine to sit there and look at everything, to look at the scope, and to look at the way we're doing it and go, I don't understand how that works. And that's fine. You're not supposed to. Nobody's done it this way. It's we're figuring it out as we go along too. It's so that tends to generate a lot of press. It's a new, it's exciting, it's a different thing, it's a scary thing for a lot of people, and some folks are better at expressing that in a positive way than not. Some folks will always be glass half empty folks who will express it in a negative way rather than a positive way. It's not that
I'm even fans of the ones who express it in a neutral way.
Yeah,
who just present and
the worst. There's a phrase, there's no such thing as bad press. And I don't know if that's true or not. I can see the argument for it. I can see the argument against it. But I know what's worse than bad press, and that's apathy.
Yep, no press.
That's nobody caring. That's no press. That's just nobody cares what you're doing. Nobody's interested in what you're doing. So given the choice, we'll take. I think I would take the bad press and try to change their minds and try to bring them around and show them things like Gamescom and show them things like CitizenCon. I think most of it just stems from a lot of fear and uncertainty, which is fine and understandable, and a lot of it stems from an impatience. And when I say an impatience, I don't mean that people are lacking in patience or whatnot. I mean that their entire lives, that folks have been conditioned. You hear about Fallout 4. Oh, Fallout 4 exists, and then
6 months.
it's out on shelves 6 months later. That's what they're used to. I mean, you got your entire life of that coming in. So when somebody comes along and says, "Yeah, me and like 2 other people who were helping me out, created a tech demo," that original, Bengal video that came out at GDC. We've just got a tech demo of some things, and now we're telling you about our idea. They're not used to hearing about a project at that point. I mean, Blizzard worked on Titan for 6 years, 7 years, 7 years, and the only thing anybody knew about it was Titan. And now it's gone. Now it's morphed into, they've taken the ashes of it and made it into Overwatch.
It's just the PvP.
Yeah. But that's the model people are used to. So they're not used to hearing about it. They're not used to having to wait this long after having an idea in their head for something to be realized.
It's watching the pot boil.
It is. And so and people may know it in their conscious brain. I don't think people are dumb. I tend to look on. I try to be as positive and have an optimistic outlook on people as I can. It's not a question of smart versus dumb or intelligence versus not or patience versus impatience. It's just that the monkey brain, the part in the back that you can't control, the part that's used to seeing these things 6 months later, will constantly come up and be like, why isn't this here? Why isn't this now? And we can't control that part. That's the part that's ingrained in all of us. And some people are better at suppressing it than others, but it's not a fault of those who don't, who can't, who are like, who are so invested in the project and they just want it now. And I understand that, and we need those people. I love most of those people, not Eris, but I love most of those people. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep bashing on Eris for no reason.
It's fine. I do it anyway.
But it's tough. It's not an easy thing.
Yeah,
it's not an easy thing, and I don't fault the press for that. And I don't fault some of the more eager citizens who are less patient than others. It's hard to be told the game you've been waiting for your entire life is going to be made, and it's not here yet. It's hard. It just is for everybody, and it's. But the reality of the situation is that we just hit 93 million.
93.
Yep. We just hit 93 million.
It's gone really fast over the last week.
Yeah, it's the campaign. The original campaign finished in November, so we're not actually we're just now like getting into our third year here, and in that money. Let me rewind back a little bit. One of the most often comparisons that we see is people comparing Grand Theft Auto 5 or Skyrim or any of these other big budget games, Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yep.
Solid Snake Eating or whatever the heck it's called, Phantom Menace. And people talk about the budgets and the time it was made. And what people often leave out of those considerations is that it's the 5th iteration or 6th or 7th iteration of an existing property, so they don't have to create everything from the ground up. They only have to iterate on it. They have to tweak new systems and whatnot. But they've already got the core gameplay figured out at this point, so they're only having to iterate. Their studios are already built. Yeah. the studios exist. They've got their protocols and their procedures and how they do things all figured out. So all that money. It's like that money goes into the carpooling of the freeway. Yeah. There's still traffic, there's still speed bumps, there's still development problems that exist in everything, but it's for all intents and purposes, it's a much smoother ride. From that 93 million, now we had to build 4 studios. Yeah. Out of that money. That money doesn't all just go in the game. We had to build 4 studios around the world, hiring. We have to create all those processes. We're just in the middle. We're really close to the end of the 3rd revision to our ship pipeline right now. We're still reworking the component system. All those things that other people get to build on with their 5th version of the game. We're still making that 1st version of the game. Yeah. So we just have to figure out all of those game systems, and yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of development. It's
Yeah,
it's
even if you look at something like The Legend of Zelda, we don't
mm,
we that gets announced like 2 or 3 years before it comes out. They've probably been working on it for 3 years or more, and those systems are already built. The mechanics really don't change all that much between games, and like they're the ones who take their time, and it's usually a better product for it. But like even then, you're talking like 6-7 years of game development with
mhm.
one of the largest game developers and most wealthy game developers on the planet, and they still take that long to make their game. And it's like, honestly, like even just from that, like you guys are moving faster.
Oh yeah, everybody. I don't have the game experience that most of the people here have, but every time we talk to somebody who comes from Blizzard, it comes from wherever else. Um, One of the most common comments about them, just in casual conversation, is the speed of development here. We are
Yeah.
moving so much faster than most people do because we've got you guys who are watching us, and it's open, and you guys, and it's just we want this out at least as much as you guys want to play it.
Yeah.
So probably a little bit more, but it's not a contest. But it's yeah. So it's difficult. It's not the easiest thing. No aspect of Star Citizen is the easiest thing.
Right.
And that's actually my favorite aspect. When I talk about earlier about the second favorite thing about it, my first favorite thing is that we're not afraid of the challenge. We're not afraid of the better idea. We're not afraid. We had that the damage system that was in place when Arena Commander launched, and designers were working on breaking apart the ship, and we did it all manually and whatnot. And then we got our new friends in Frankfurt and whatnot, and new ideas came forward. It's like, hey, we could do like a physically based damage system with pierceability, and where you hit on the outside explodes the components on the inside and stuff. And we're like, that's so cool. But it's like, we just did all this work on the other damage system. And if we were at a publisher or whatever, they'd be like, oh no, you just spent all this time, money, and effort building this other damage system. You're not going to
Put that in the
change to a
sequel.
new damage system.
Put that in the
Exactly. Put it
sequel.
in the sequel. And we're not afraid of the better idea here. And I was like, no, that is the better idea. That's the thing that makes a better game. So we do it. And yeah, it pushes things back. Yeah, but that's why we went crowdfunded. We went crowdfunded to avoid the developer, to avoid the deadlines, to avoid that you have to have this out on this day or else.
Yeah.
And you see how that works with Batman games, with the latest Batman game and whatever. Assassin's Creed, when things have to be out by a certain day, regardless of whether it's ready or not. The whole reason for Star Citizen was to avoid that stuff. So it's a little funny and sometimes frustrating when
people on Reddit or on the forums or whatever, they're like, they missed these deadlines, and I'm like,
it's like that was the point.
Got into this
so that we would have that freedom.
So there was no deadlines.
Yes. So we'd have the freedom to do the better thing, to do the bigger thing, and no, I absolutely. That is my number one favorite thing about this place is that they're not afraid. If the better idea comes along, it's like, oh, that is the better idea. We should do that.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about the project.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if one of the things that Chris was talking about, like in one of his letters, I don't remember which one or anything, but he was talking about how people often talk about how the scope from the original campaign has gone like way beyond that, and Chris is like, well, yeah, you gave us $90 million.
To do it. That's the whole damn point.
Like, we could give you a game that costs $20 million and then just ride off into the sunset with $8 whatever million, and I can't do math. It's the morning. But how would people react to that? Even worse, probably.
There's no way we're ever going to please everybody all the time.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like,
ultimately,
it's art at the end of the day.
It's about making the game that Chris wants to make. Yeah. That's why I pledged back in the way. That's why I pledged my money and then pledged my life to come work here. was to help Chris make the game that he wants to make.
I had no idea who Chris Roberts was before Star Citizen, but I realized I had played all of his games, and all of them were like really fond memories for me. And I didn't know he was behind the project, so I saw Star Citizen. I'm like, this is insane. And then I'm like, oh wait, it's Chris Roberts. He kind of did that 20 years ago already, so he's just gonna do it again. Yeah, it's exciting stuff. But that was supposed to segue into this question that you wanted me to ask you, but there's no rails. This is Star Citizen, not Star Fox. There's 6 degrees of freedom in this interview. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Mr. Community Manager, I have a very important question for you.
Okay.
Why aren't Derek Smart threads allowed on the forums?
No. And that was an example of harder questions you could ask, not one I wanted you to ask. No.
I mean,
Derek Smart. What can be said? It's all right to talk about. Derek
you don't even
Smart.
have to. You don't even have to talk about Derek Smart.
Derek Smart. Derek Smart. Derek Smart. Derek Smart. Derek Smart.
Hi, Derek.
Smart.
How are you?
No. Let's pull back from that and talk about trolling.
Yeah.
Okay. The object of a troll, at any level, and for the if there are different kinds of trolls, like there's different kinds of gremlins in Gremlin 2, I don't know. There's an electric troll and there's a vegetable troll. For all the different trolls, they all come down to a couple core ideas, and the core idea at its center is to have you change anything about what you were doing because of them.
Yeah.
If they can affect, all they're trying to do is affect you. Whether it's a good effect or a bad effect, it doesn't matter. It's an effect. They're trying to impact your life, your course of actions in some way, shape, or form. If you were going to turn right, they want to make you turn left. If you were going to go forward, they want to make you go backwards. If you were happy, they want to make you sad. If you're sad, they want to make you distressed. It's just some change of your behavior in any kind, and that is, I did that. That's the effect I had. And that's ultimately what trolling is. It's just somebody trying to have an effect on life outside of themselves. So when you talk about them, that's an effect, because you would not be talking about them had they not started their thing. So so having prolonged conversations about them, having 50 threads about them, that is an effect. That is the troll winning. It's a false sense of notoriety and purpose that they've caused, that they've generated. Other people are changing their conversations. Their day now involves 20 minutes talking about me when it wouldn't have otherwise. That's what the troll tries to do. So the only way to combat the troll is to ignore the troll. It's simply the only way to do it. So when we talk about why we don't allow Derek Smart threads, it's not because of legal. People throw around all kinds of reasons. It's not because of legal. It's not because we're trying to avoid some lawsuit. We're not trying to if Star Citizen allows us to talk about that, it can be seen as an endorsement of these points of view. It's not any of that. It's because it's not worth talking about. It's because that's what he wants. When I say he, I mean all trolls. We just brought up Derek Smart. It's because that's what they want. They want us talking about them instead of talking about the game. Talking about their points instead of talking about the points that we would have spoken. And more times than not, their points are absolute garbage. And I think all you don't need me to refute anything. You just have to listen to what the trolls say and then look at what's out there and go, people can figure that stuff out themselves. It's just, that's what they want. So the only way to defeat them is by not giving them what they want. That means not talking about it. And not everybody gets that, of course. Not everybody's had years of dealing with trolls. Nobody's had as much time dealing with trolls as Ben has. Ben goes back to the IRC days before the World Wide Web existed and stuff. So he's dealt with trolls for quite a long time. And it's just, if you talk about it, if you acknowledge it, if you change what you're doing in any way, shape, or form, they win. And the only reason we even did the post, like the one post about when the Escapist came out and stuff like that, they brought their kids into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had all the sense of pride in the world when we were just, this is all beneath us. This is all crap. He's making up a ton of stuff, couching it in half truths or quarter truths from distorted point of views from former employees who aren't happy and whatnot. But then they brought the kids into it, and at that point, it was like, at what point do your principles collide with your kids?
Yeah.
So you have to say something at that point, because there's no reasoning in the world that can justify bringing a 4-year-old into any of this.
And that's the thing too. That's why INN has not reported on any of it up until that point. Because again, we hold the same views that you do. Like,
yes,
there's no point talking about it. It just fuels it. And when something like solid happens, like our philosophy on the whole thing was like, if something concrete happens in any of this, that's what we will report on. And
when the troll tries to change the conversation,
yeah,
and you change the conversation because of them, that's when they win.
Yep.
So the only battle, the only way you fight that is by not changing the conversation.
Right.
And you can't prove negatives. You can't prove things that don't exist. Then it gets all into all hairs. You start thinking, well, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should engage. Maybe we should be doing this or that and whatnot. There was
definitely discussion in INN for a little bit. Yeah.
Well, yeah. All you have to do is look at after CitizenCon, and there are folks that are like, oh yeah, CitizenCon just proved every bad thing I said about Star Citizen, and you're like. And you realize there is no reasoning with those people. It's like nothing we could say would sate those people.
Exactly.
So it's just better. It's better to continue on as you were doing, because that's the only way to fight trolls.
And honestly, all of you guys should take solace in the fact that all the stuff you did show at CitizenCon sated a lot of people.
Oh, so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm a big lover of profanity.
It's fine.
But no, it was. Like I said, because I was so hands off in most of it, I didn't get to see it until we started putting together the videos the week before, and I'm like, holy crap, this is so cool.
Were you? This is a slight tangent, but were you there when? I remember a couple months ago. I think it was a couple months ago when Aaron was in Santa Monica.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed off a video. Was that the Bishop speech?
Oh yeah. Are you talking about the staff viewing that we had?
Was that the Bishop speech?
Yeah, that was the very first earliest viewing of the Bishop speech. So when I tell the story about how Ben stood up and was clapping, that was the earliest viewing of the Bishop speech. Yeah, it was everything was white and grays, and his face he looked like a T1000 without shape, kind of stuff. But it was just it was rad.
We were while we were watching it, we were writing, doing a live blog for the people at work who couldn't pull up Twitch, and we just we were typing, and then the video comes up, and we're just sitting there and then at the end I'm just like, watch the video.
Have you guys noticed the Easter egg that's in Bishop's speech yet?
No.
I haven't seen anybody talk about it. There is a Wing Commander Easter egg in that Bishop Senate speech video.
I'm gonna have to look for it.
I mean, besides the fact that the whole intro itself has some similarities to the intro to Wing Commander 4, I think it was.
Yes.
3, 4, yeah.
I think it's 4.
But there is a Wing Commander 1 reference in this. It's not in the dialogue. It's in the scene. It's a visual thing. You have to see it. But it's there. Ben was very. Forrest came down one day with the idea, and he goes, "Hey, I need to talk." Literally, deadpan. It didn't do it on purpose. Hey, I need to talk to somebody about Wing Commander. And we're just like, Ben.
Ben.
And Ben's like, yes, how can I help? And Forrest was like, hey, is there a
That was
thing
an
where
excellent
this and
Ben
this
impression.
happens? And Ben goes, well, hold on, and brings up his WC News website. I actually wrote a piece about this exact thing you're asking about several years ago. And here's all the different versions of this thing. And Forrest is like, oh, that's cool. Which one? He goes, which one should I use? And Ben goes, this one. And so that thing is in the thing is in there.
That's
So,
awesome.
eagle-eyed viewers can sport a very important Wing Commander 1 reference in the Bishop Senate speech if you look hard enough.
Cool.
Look around this area of Bishop.
Okay.
Might be this area. I don't know if I look on his
mirrored.
It's a medal.
It's on his chest.
It's a medal on his chest. I'm terrible at hinting at things. It's a medal on his chest. Look at the medals on his chest.
Please put tons of Easter eggs everywhere in Star Citizen, please. Thank you. I love Easter eggs. That's my favorite thing in video games. I don't know why. Even in like film, like Pixar does it all the time. And there was a probably one of my favorites over the last year was like in The Last of Us. There was an Uncharted board game just lying around. I'm like, what even is this?
Yeah, I never finished that. I got Last of Us on PS4, the remaster.
Yeah.
I started playing it and I really enjoyed it, and then I hired in here. So I never
That's
never
what
finished
happens.
it.
I've heard that's what happens to.
Yeah, I still haven't finished
game
Grand Theft
developers.
Auto 5 yet.
I haven't either.
And I really enjoyed that game. So
Oh, there was one question. There's one question that David wanted me to ask you, and I really enjoyed it. It's about, especially.
Lando. My name is David. Do you think I'm pretty?
Yes. That was his first question, but I was actually going to skip that one.
It's all right.
Well, yeah.
David sounds like a cool guy. Who's David?
He sometimes goes by Eris, but he's trying to distance himself from that.
Never mind.
How are you liking the recent gift that you received lately?
You mean these?
Yeah.
I'm looking around for anything that can make fire right now. Do I have anything here that can make fire? Why don't we have things that can make fire in the office?
As I said, you asked for this. You only brought it on yourself.
Did I really ask for it?
You did.
I think David needs to learn when a /S is in effect.
But whoa. One of the, especially due to recent vacancies in the Santa Monica team, and not talking specifically about that, but like in the future going forward, especially coming from someone who was a backer before working for CIG, do you think, do you feel that hiring people from the community is a wise thing?
I don't think it matters if they're from the community or not. There are, like with anything else, there are benefits and drawbacks.
Yeah.
We get a lot of folks who ask if they can be a community manager. And then we go and we look at their post history. And no, you can't be a community manager, not with that post history. This is not an easy job. Not an easy job by any means. And I'm not talking about community manager. I'm talking about working for CIG.
Yeah.
There is no kickback here. There is no relax, easy day. Like I said, if you can do a thing, you do a thing. And people go around, hey, we need somebody who can do this, and I can do this. And it's like there's no, this is not my job kind of thing. You do it. It's hard work. It's a lot of hard work. It's not this idyllic kickback paradise where you just talk about video games all day kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. So a lot of folks, we actually have quite a few former fans. I mean, Dennis, our IT guy, was a citizen. We have quite a few folks from the Next Great Starship who have come in. I mean, we have quite a lot of employees that were backers and whatnot. There's nothing inherently wrong with being a backer beforehand. It plays a little more into it joining a community position if you've been a backer, because the way that you've interacted with the community now becomes incredibly important to whether you can be considered for the job. And the fact is, if you've run afoul of too many things and whatnot, it's probably not a good idea for you to come in and work with the community. But there is an invaluable assist that comes when you're familiar with a project when you start.
Right. You don't have to read up on like the
exactly.
vast
It's incredibly
history of CIG.
dense project here.
Yeah.
If you're coming in with all that knowledge already in you, that can be incredibly.
That's half your training.
Valuable. Exactly. That can be incredibly valuable. So yeah, no, I don't think it's automatically a detriment or a benefit. It can be a benefit. It can also be a detriment. It just depends on what job you're applying for and how your specific view of everything ended up being. But no, we've got a job posting for another community manager. I mean, obviously, as the community grows, this is more than one person can do, especially with everything else that we're doing. But at the same time, you can't just bring anybody in. You can't just throw a face up there and be like, "Hi, this is our new community ambassador, Dan Giesling."
He posted some threads on Reddit once that were pretty good.
Yeah, Dan Giesling was a great guy. I think I don't think the community quite gave him.
I didn't realize you were talking about a specific person. I'm sorry.
Oh, so see this predates you, huh? Dan Giesling, the community manager.
No, I know who he is. I know who he is, but the name just went. Whew, yeah.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. So you have to be careful with how you introduce folks to the community and stuff like that, especially in the community positions. There's a little more consideration that goes into it. Plus, again, it is a lot of work. Besides all those other things that I talk about, the exciting things, working on the Starliner and working on the variants and whatever. A lot of it is correlating information. It's reading. I'm not going to sit here and say I read everything. I certainly don't. It's just not possible. But it's reading as much as you can from our forums, from Reddit, from around the internet. Anybody's talking about Star Citizen, and correlating all that data into useful bits, and then disseminating that data to the people who need it. Designers, artists, other community people. There's a lot of work that's involved in it. So it's not necessarily fun, that part, but it has to be done. It's necessary. Like I said, when I'm on at 3:00 in the morning on chat, just so I can see what the Aussies are talking about and stuff. It's important to go around the clock. There's no 9 to 5 to this job at all. There's not really a 9 to 5 to any job here, but specifically not community, because the community exists in all hours of the day.
Yep.
So.
I think fun in terms of the job wouldn't be the right word, but rewarding.
Yes.
Would probably be.
If you can find fun in being rewarding, that's like the best. That's the best.
If you can ride those highs through the hard work, then
when Ben gives an especially terrible pun, and I can spin my chair and turn my back on him like a Klingon or whatever, and be like, "No, I'm shaming you," for like the next hour. That's fun. Since we moved, I used to sit right behind Beth, so I used to sit right across from Ben. So when we were working, we were automatically back to back. So it was like I could dishonor him all day. That was a lot of fun. But we had to move the desk in order to get move both of our desks in order to get this area clear. So I'm no longer sitting directly behind Ben. So I have to pick my moments when I can shun him. So that has its benefits. Sometimes it's like eating steak for every meal. It's like if I shun him all day, every day, it makes the bigger moments kind of smaller. Now when I shun him, I can really make sure it hits hard. So,
I think
that's fun.
I think the only other question is something that we made a point to ask every developer that we talk to. I know that Eris made it a point to ask everybody he ran into at CitizenCon, because INN is so involved with the community. The big question that we have for all of you guys is, what is something that us as a community can do for you guys to help you guys help us?
How can we help you help,
help
us
us.
help you?
Yeah.
You. Okay.
I think here I have the question here that I wrote down. What is the thing that we could do to help you help us? It's more concise, I guess.
I don't know if this answers that question, but it's the answer that's coming to my brain, so it's the one I'm going to give. It's what's coming to my head is, if I could have the community do anything, what would I want them to do?
Yeah.
Kind of, I guess what it's coming into my head as. This is an amazing project. It's unlike anything that's come before. It will probably be unlike anything that's going to come after it for quite some time. Because if we succeed, it's going to take people a long time to evaluate it and figure out why it succeeded, and people, as people try to replicate it, and it's going to be a while. At the end of the day, at the end of every single day, what I want people to most remember, to most do, I guess, is to remember that this is a game, and that games are meant to be fun. We appreciate everybody who is invested in Star Citizen. We live on the people who are invested in Star Citizen. We don't have investment bankers or publishers or whatnot that are supporting us. We rely on you guys. It's those folks that spend, from the folks that spend $20,000 to those folks that spend $45. It's that investment is what keeps us going. At the same time, it's possible to get too close. It's possible to get too close, and that you lose perspective, that you lose the ability to see the forest through the trees, as they say. It's okay to unplug. And maybe I'm the worst community manager in the world for saying that it's okay, to unplug from the project, but it's okay to take a break. It's okay to go and play Fallout 4, or to go and play Grand Theft Auto 5, or to go and find something else to do, for whether if it's just a day for you.
There are other games. They are good.
If it's just a day for you, or if it's a week, or if it needs to be a month, or if it needs to be a couple months. I'm not going to tell you how long you need, for what you need, but there are people that were once very happy. There are members of the community that I remember being happy and positive contributors who have morphed into not. And that makes me sad, because I'm like, because I wish I could go back and tell them that it was okay to unplug for a while. It was okay to find something else to do. It was okay to take a step back and get some perspective, because it's very easy to get so close, so wrapped up in something that it turns from something positive into something negative. And like I said, maybe I'm the worst community manager in the world for telling people it's okay to go do something else. But it's important, because I would rather, given the choice between having, let's just pick somebody we'll pick Eris, because I like picking on Eris. If the option is to have Eris active in this community for 6 months of the year, but he's happy those 6 months, versus having him active in the community for 12 months of the year, and by those last 6 months, he's sour. He's unhappy. He's not pleased. He gets tired of waiting. It starts to drain on him. The choice is an easy one for me. I would rather have the happy era 6 months of the year, and I'm picking arbitrary times out to illustrate a point. If you need to unplug for a day or a week or whatever, it doesn't matter. Please don't unplug for like a year. Please come back. Please come back. Don't go away. But it's just, we want you to be happy and for you to enjoy this experience. And that's why we put out 3 to 5 videos every single week. That's why we do the comm links. That's why we do our live streams. That's why we do interviews here. It's we want you invested. We want you here. We want you happy. We want you enjoying it. And the thing that people can do to help us, to help them, is when you find yourself getting too close, when you find yourself losing perspective, when you find yourself getting unhappy, it's okay. It's okay for you. It's okay for us to disengage for a little bit and to find that perspective and maybe go back and find what made you happy about the project again. And grab a hold of that, because maybe you lost a hold of that at some point. And that's what I would want for everybody. I think there's, it's just, you see it. It's like the people who used to hang out in chat roll every single day a year ago and aren't anywhere around now. And some people are like, oh, I miss those people. And I'm like, no, hopefully those people will come back re-energized. We'll take that break and come back, and it's like that. It's a nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. It's great. You can really enjoy the snowy mountains, but you don't want to live there.
Yes.
And that's development. I mean, when the game comes out, you should live in Star Citizen. Just live in Star Citizen. Don't play any other game when the game is out. Just log in and ignore your pets and ignore your family.
By then, everyone's going to have Oculus, so it's just we'll be in it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's our lives only.
But when we joke that development is hard, it's hard for everybody, especially the community. Most communities don't exist during development. So, as we're doing development differently, we have to do community during development differently. So I think I'm okay telling folks it's okay to step away. It's okay to disengage. If you're getting too close, if you're getting too wrapped up, if you're starting to lose perspective, because I would rather you come back happy. That's
been honestly the opinion of a lot of regular people. I've noticed some threads on the subreddit where people are like, man, this stuff is taking forever to come out. And the top comment 100% of the time is come back in 6 months.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you try to run a marathon at top speed, you're never going to make it. Yeah. And we want everybody to make it. Yeah. I want all those people that were here at the beginning. The folks, for everyone from the colonial movers to Groundhound to Wolf to Captain Underpants to it all. I'm just pulling names out of my butt right now. But all those people that have been here since the beginning, I want them to still be here with us at the end of this. And that means marathon procedures and not sprint procedures. Yeah. It's okay to slow down every once in a while. It's okay to check in occasionally. You're going to miss some stuff. We do a broadcast every week. You're going to miss some stuff, but ultimately it's all in service of the game. The thing that's important that you see is the game. Yeah. And that's we want you here when the game comes. Awesome. That's the only thing that comes to mind is what I'd like you guys to do to help us.
Good enough for me.
Be here when the game, still be here when the game comes.
Well, I think that's a fitting end to an interview that I hope was better than you expected. I mean, well, it's your interview, so why don't you sign us off? This is your show. You started this.
Thank you for watching INNside CIG, hosted by Jared, Disco, Lando, Huckaby. Our special guest this evening has been CCT, Captain Closed Circuit Television. I don't know what it stands for. He just said, call me CCT, and I didn't argue.
I should change it.
It's 11:20 in the morning on Saturday. I'm going to go back and enjoy my day off because these bastards woke me up so early to do this. And I hope you enjoyed our interview. I might be the worst community manager in video game history for telling people to unplug every once in a while. We'll see how that goes. But but we don't do game development like anybody else, and I guess we don't do community management like anybody else either. So, yeah, this has been your host, Jared Disco Lando Huckaby. Tell your friends you want the 6,000 SUX in the game, please. Ben won't let me ask him about it anymore. And yeah, that's it. So we're gonna sign off. You can see me playing the Palms on Tuesdays and Thursdays during the week, and down at the Luxor on the weekends. So thanks.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.